Alright, hey guys, Week 11 breakdown, Will Reichling here. If you want to catch the Sunday night breakdown, the Monday night breakdown, catch my episode with Dylan later in the week. I will get into the Thursday night football game, some of the 1 o'clock games, Eastern Standard Time, some of the 4 Eastern Standard Time games. So most importantly, I'd like to start with that Thursday night football game. Ravens at Bengals, and look, the biggest storyline from that is Joe Burrow out for the season, torn ligament in his wrist. And, you know, the Bengals' playoff chances are dead now. I mean, I think this season really for the Cincinnati Bengals is summed up to Joe Burrow just couldn't stay healthy for the season. You know, he wasn't healthy in the beginning of the season with the calf, and they got off to a slow start. Then they finally got rolling, and, you know, now he gets hurt here with the wrist. So we could just sum this up for the Bengals as a lost season. I had Joe Burrow for my favorite for MVP, and I had the Bengals going to the Super Bowl this season. So didn't work out like that. Definitely didn't work out like that. And look, Jake Browning, I mean, once he came in, the game was basically non-competitive. I mean, he had a decent touchdown throw to Jamar Chase. But other than that, I mean, the Ravens controlled the game. Lamar, they have a clear shot at the 1 seed now. Them and the Chiefs are going to be fighting for it. And then everything else is basically a crapshoot. I mean, if you look at the division now for the AFC North, I mean, it's basically down to the Ravens and the Steelers, because now the Browns, Deshaun Watson's out for the season, even though they won today. And then you have Joe Burrow out for the season. So now basically you can count the Bengals out, and I'm not sure if we can count the Browns out yet. I mean, I'm not crazy about them now. Look, DTR played decent today, and he had a great final drive, but I just don't see the Browns winning 3 more games with that quarterback. Their schedule isn't the hardest schedule in the world, but we will see moving forward. And back to the Ravens-Bengals. Zay Flowers is the stud. OBJ had a huge day. I mean, a huge day. Over 100 receiving yards. He definitely looks 100% healthy now. He looks completely healed from the torn ACL. So he's really coming on now. But another devastating blow in this game. Mark Andrews is out for the season as well. And that's going to be a rough one for the Ravens, because he was always Lamar Jackson's safety blanket. But at this point, I mean, all the wide receivers are coming on now. I mean, Rashad Bateman had a nice touchdown this game. Zay Flowers has been coming on and on and on. And Odell Beckham Jr. looks like old Odell Beckham Jr. now. So, I mean, the Ravens, I think, will be fine on offense. You know, Gus Edwards having a decent game. I mean, Keaton Mitchell. So they're going to be fine, especially running the ball. Throwing the ball, they'll also be fine, even though they lost Mark Andrews. So, I mean, Isaiah likely looked decent last season. So if he could play a little bit like he did last season when Mark Andrews got hurt, the Ravens' offense will be completely fine. As for the Bengals, they're done. Like I said, Jake Browning's not going to really give you a realistic chance to win enough games in this tough AFC division. So, is Joe Burrow injury prone? I mean, is it time to ask that? Because I don't really think so, because his rookie season tore his ACL out for the season, and the last 2 seasons he played the entire season. So I don't think we could really call him injury prone, because the last 2 seasons in a row he played full seasons. Is he hurt again and out for the season? Yes. But I wouldn't really call him injury prone. These are kind of freak injuries. And the whole thing with the NFL investigation about him not being an injury report, apparently he's saying that it was a completely new injury, but then why was he wearing that wrist-like sleeve? So it's a little weird. It's a little funky. Now you're in bed with all these gamblers, so it gets a little weird now. I mean, the NFL is probably the best sport in the league at disclosing injury information. So if the Bengals did violate something here, they're going to probably get penalized. I mean, who knows? Could they lose a draft pick? I don't know. But the Bengals just look to next season now. I mean, they're going to lose a ton of games here, so they'll probably end up with a top 10 draft pick. I don't see them. They'll win probably 1 game more max, maybe 2. Their playoff chances are dead. And the Ravens kind of pull away with this division now. I mean, even though the Browns won, I don't trust the Steelers now even more. I mean, like, they lost to get into that game now. The Pittsburgh Steelers, the great defense that they had, they played great today. They lost to Dorian Thompson-Robinson. So, I mean, I know he played okay, I guess, but that just shows how terrible the offense is, how terrible Kenny Pickett is, how terrible Matt Canada's play calling is. I really think the only burst of offense you got today was from Jaylen Warren. He had a big day, and usually when you have a good running game like that, I mean, he averaged, over 10 yards a carry? Usually that helps your young quarterback. In this case, it didn't. I mean, Kenny Pickett, has he turned the ball over this season a lot? No, but what does he have, 6 touchdown passes? The same amount as Zach Wilson. So that just tells you he's a bottom 3-4 quarterback in the league. He's like definitely like 30th, 31st. I saw a lot of promise after last season, but I don't see any promise moving forward with this guy. I mean, are the Browns really a playoff team either? I mean, I'd still probably take the Steelers over the Browns. So at least I think Kenny Pickett's more competent than DTR, but DTR had a huge final drive in this game. I just can't believe that the Steelers let that one go. I mean, all you had to do was, They scored 10 points. And I get the Browns' defense is elite, but, like, I mean, you lost to a third-string quarterback at this point. So right now, the three playoff teams are the Cleveland Browns 5th, the Houston Texans 6th, and the Pittsburgh Steelers 7th. I don't really trust the Browns to make it because I don't trust their quarterback play. I mean, he was decent this game, but can you sustain wins like that for the next 7 games or whatever? I don't know. I don't think so. Their schedule is not crazy hard, but also I can see some losses there. The Houston Texans I trust the most. I think the Houston Texans are going to make the playoffs this season. We'll get into that. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are 7th, and I don't trust the Steelers either. So, I mean, one of those two teams, the Browns or the Steelers, are probably going to make the playoffs. It might end up being Cleveland. I think Cleveland needs to get the 3 more wins to make the playoffs. There's some winnable games on that schedule, so maybe it's Cleveland. So, I don't know. I mean, the Bills just demolished the Jets. Don't want to get into that. So, the Bills, I probably see getting a playoff spot. I definitely see Houston. And then I think the last spot's probably going to come down between, the Steelers and the Browns, sadly. I just can't see the Browns being a playoff team with this kind of quarterback play. 13 points isn't going to cut it against these better teams. So, Pittsburgh, you need to go get another quarterback, and you need a new offensive coordinator. Those are your 2 main problems. I know there's more than just that, but you have a great defense, and you have great weapons on offense. Can your line be a little better? Sure. But, year 2, we're almost at Thanksgiving now. You should be seeing some improvement from Kenny Pickett. And if anything, I mean, he's regressed. Has his numbers been slightly better? I guess so. But to the eye test, he's regressed. So these 2 teams, Pittsburgh and Cleveland, I have no confidence in moving forward. Cleveland is due to injury, and Pittsburgh's just due to performance with their starting quarterback. So, I mean, different situations for these teams, but it's like a similar outcome. I just can't believe that the Steelers lost to DTR. I mean, I don't know if they'll be able to live that down now. I mean, I think everyone thinks the Steelers are frauds. So, other than that, now the Houston Texans, that last playoff team that has a wild card spot right now, that has the 6th seed as of right now, 6-4. I said over the summer, you could sign all the free agents you want. You could draft all the people you want and think your team's going to be better, but we don't know what's going to happen. We think certain teams are going to be good going into the season. And, there's always a surprise team and a sleeper team. And I gave an example of us not knowing what's going to happen. I said the Texans can make the playoffs and the Jets could be a disaster. And standing today, it's looking like that's exactly what's going to happen. And I didn't say it thinking that was what was going to happen. I was just trying to give an example of why we really don't know how the season's going to play out. Like, we could come up with all these theories in the offseason, but it always ends up somewhat slightly different than what we predict. And this is a prime example of it. The Houston Texans, we did not think we're going to be competitive this year. We thought they'd be competitive, but we didn't think they were going to be a legit playoff team. And, they beat the Bengals with Joe Burrow. They crushed the Jags. The Cardinals with Kyler Murray now. I mean, like, this is a legitimate team. They're not probably going to be a one and done in the playoffs, but things are looking spicy there. Their defense has been playing pretty well, too, under DeMeco Ryans. Smart defensive head coach. And Kyler Murray on the Cardinals, I mean, he makes a big difference to that team. But, he made some magic happen with his legs, on 4th down, but it wasn't enough. Stroud threw 2 picks in the red zone. One wasn't his fault. It was deflected. But, the other one, he was trying to force it in there over the middle. And he had a 3rd pick a little bit later in the game. But sometimes picks are going to happen. Picks are fine. I don't really mind picks that much as long as you're making big plays down the field, which CJ Stroud does constantly. He made some elite throws again in this game. So, Tank Dell 120 yards in the first half. Stroud had 250 in the first half. It slowed down a little bit in the second half, but again, made big plays when he had to. And now the Texans are looking, they control their own destiny. They play the Jags again very shortly. They have a chance of winning their division. It's right there in front of them. So I think they'll definitely be a wild card team, and they might even be the division champion of the AFC South. So the Houston Texans are sitting prime time right now. The 3 wild card teams, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Houston, I trust Houston the most right now. Cleveland's got a legit team. I just don't trust the quarterback. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, too, quarterback. So it always comes down to your quarterback, and I trust CJ Stroud over both those guys combined. So the Texans are sitting nice right now, and they have a chance of winning the division. Not much about the Cardinals other than, they fell short here. They're still going to lose some games. They don't have a lot of talent. They have some players, but, they're still sitting prime for a top 5 pick. We'll see what happens. Kyler had a lot of passes deflected to the line of scrimmage again. So I don't know if the GM's going to be thinking about his height and want to trade him, get a more special guy who's bigger. So we'll see. I've been a fan of keeping Kyler Murray, so we just got to let the season play out for a little longer. He's going to keep starting. Maybe they'll trade him, maybe they won't. We'll see. The main story in that game is the Texans and another close win. Bears at Lions, and Jared Goff, for the most part, did not play well in this game. The Lions, they didn't really play that great in this game. 3 picks by Goff. Justin Fields looked very sharp in this game. He had a great touchdown pass to DJ Moore. Was effective with his legs, over 100 rushing yards. This was vintage Justin Fields at his best. He looked very sharp in this game. The Bears had every chance to win this game. I thought they were going to win this game for a while. They were in prime position to win this game. And in the final couple minutes in the fourth quarter, the Detroit Lions come back from 2 touchdowns down, come back and win. And Goff woke up when it mattered most. The Lions woke up when it mattered most. And that's what good teams do. They don't always play their best, but they win. They find ways to win when they're not at their best. And that's why the Lions are a legitimate team. They have a legit chance to be a top 2, definitely top 3 seed, but they can even be a top 2 seed. And they almost let it slip in this game. And divisional games can get a little weird. The Bears played them very well in this game, but, when it mattered most, Goff, the Lions, even the Lions defense with that safety at the end, good teams, good playoff teams, legitimate Super Bowl contender teams will win games when everything's going against them and they're playing at not their best, even at their worst sometimes. So, the Bears are playing at their best, the Lions are playing at their worst, and the Lions still found a way to win. So that tells you everything you need to know about both franchises. The Bears have been a lot more competitive lately, and Justin Fields playing well in this game is a good sign for you if you're a Chicago fan, but you're still going to have a very high draft pick, so you're going to have some decisions to make. I like Justin Fields. He's got a lot of intangibles you like. He's very fast, can move. He's starting to show some progression in the league. So, I don't know. There's a lot of question marks with the quarterback position at the top of the draft. The Giants even won, so, and, the Panthers don't have a choice because their pick is to the Bears. So, someone's going to be passing on the quarterback, and someone's going to be taking the quarterback at the top of the draft. I don't know who's who yet. I really don't. Now I'm hearing Daniel Jones is coming back next season. Maybe they still take a guy. Kyler, are they going to trade him? Will they not trade him? Justin Fields. So there's a lot of question marks to the top of the draft. It's not definite right now. But, yeah, the Lions, man. The Lions. I'm really curious if Detroit, how they would match up with, like Dallas. That's really the question mark of the 3 seed in the NFC. Well, not the 3 seed, because if the Eagles win the division, Dallas will automatically be the 5th seed, but the 3rd best team in the conference. That's what I really mean. I'm very interested to see those 2 teams face off. Not sure if they face off later in the season, but they might face off in the playoffs. That might be a pretty great game because I feel like those teams match up very well against each other. It's going to be, that's still the question mark. I'll take Lions right now, even though Dallas has looked really good, really good. They played kind of crappy teams the last couple of weeks, Giants and then Panthers. But, yeah, Lions, I was getting ready to say, bad loss by the Lions, but let's suck it up. Let's move on. Sometimes these divisional games happen, but they find a way to win at the end, and that's why they're a great team. Speaking of a team that's not a great team, the opposite, they find ways to lose, the Chargers. Really, honestly, usually coaches mid-season get fired on Monday. Tomorrow's Monday. Well, this is going to be posted by Monday. Maybe he'll be fired already by the time this video uploads, but he needs to get fired, Brandon Staley. Look, this is what it comes down to. You let Jordan Love look like a Pro Bowler. I think everyone knows at this point, especially in Green Bay, that Jordan Love probably isn't the guy in Green Bay. And you made him look like a Pro Bowler here. Look at his numbers. This is probably the best Jordan Love looked, numbers-wise. And he had a big touchdown late. Brandon Staley's a defensive coach, and the defense has just been a giant disaster and disappointment under the Brandon Staley era. And, Kellen Moore should be blamed a little bit too here because the Chargers only scored 20 points. I know Justin Herbert looked sharp, and Eckler had a huge fumble in the red zone, but at a certain point, offensively and defensively. Offensively, you have to be able to put teams away, and defensively, you have to be able to stop teams when they're driving on you. And Romeo Doubs was wide open for that touchdown. Wide open. So at some point, if you're the smart young defensive guy, you're going to come up with good defensive schemes. But I don't see the smart defensive schemes from him. It's just, this guy's got to go. He's got to go because he's holding the Los Angeles Chargers back. How do you lose to Green Bay Packers, who don't even look that good this season? They don't look good at all. I'm pretty sure Aaron Jones got hurt in this game. He didn't really, wasn't really a lot of star power you were working with against the Packers, but you got to criticize coaching all around. If we're going to give Kellen Moore credit for scoring 38 the week before, we have to criticize him for only scoring 20 against the Packers. And the Packers have a good defense, not a bad defense, but there were times where they could have scored more points, and there was mistakes. Quentin Johnson couldn't bring in a tough ball. There was a lot of mistakes. Eckler, I'm pretty sure, didn't have any receiving yards. They didn't even have a catch today. what has happened to Eckler. I mean, he's been somewhat sharp, but he's been injured a lot. I think we're starting to see the decline of Eckler. And, this game was tough. This game was tough for sure. Pretty sure Allen had a tough drop. So Chargers are 4-6 now, and like the AFC's tough, but it's still wide open in a way because the Steelers are frauds. The Browns, I can't see them making the playoffs. You got the Raiders right in there, the Colts. Still a slight possibility with the Chargers can make the playoffs, but they only have one more loss to afford. They're at 6 losses. I don't think anything less than 10 can get you into the playoffs in the AFC. So Chargers are really walking a fine line here right now, for sure. Seahawks at Rams. Rams got off to a very slow start. Honestly, they looked pretty ugly for most of this game, but they made plays when they had to at the end. Nice little comeback from them at the end. Stafford was a little up and down this game, but made some huge throws when he had to. I think the game really changed when Geno Smith got injured. Drew Lock came in, threw an interception. It's just they couldn't really move the ball anymore. But how clutch was it for Geno to come back on that final drive with the elbow? Didn't know if he could throw well enough, and he moves the ball right down the field, and puts him right in position to get the game-winning field goal. And Jason Myers missed. He missed, and that stuff happens. And it was a tough divisional game for sure, but Geno Smith showed me a lot on that last drive. I mean, there was struggles on third down again today for Seattle, and that's been their kind of bugaboo on offense. But, Kenneth Walker really didn't get going in this game. I mean, when you're not running the ball that effectively, what can you really do? I mean, so Geno put them in position to win this game. It happens. I mean, the Rams are in the division, but the Rams beat the Seahawks twice this year. And I don't think the Rams are really going anywhere. They're 4-6 now. I mean, the Rams, I guess, still have a realistic shot at the wild card because it's the NFC, and the NFC is a little weaker. But they kind of put themselves behind the 8 ball when Stafford got hurt. They lost a couple of games in a row. But these 2 wins against Seattle are probably huge for them because, if somehow, some way they end up in a tiebreaker with Seattle for the wild card, they're going to have it now because they beat Seattle twice. All right, so if you want to catch my Monday night breakdown, I'll catch it later in the week. This is in between the early to late afternoon window and the Sunday night game. So we got Vikings-Broncos for Sunday night. You could catch that on my next episode too. And we got Chiefs-Eagles for Monday night. So you could catch those breakdowns on my next episode. So that's really it. All right, see you guys later in the week. Thanks.